Hello and welcome to another video on my channel. I'm very grateful that you're here. My name is Lily and this channel is made for the purpose of sharing my thoughts and experiences related to my spiritual path. So I thought that I would make this short video related to the things that I have learned as a result of my spiritual commitment, spiritual path. So I'll just start by saying that I'm not an expert on this topic by any means. I've simply just dedicated many years of my life recently to learning more about spirituality from a number of different sources, both ancient sources and more contemporary sources, different aspects, whether it be traditional meditation techniques and yoga, or something a bit more metaphysical related to past lives and things like that. I've done plant medicine. I really just tried to immerse myself in this space to learn as much as I possibly can and allow that to just carry me forward into the next phases of my life. I also have many peers, many friends and mentors who are also on the path and who I've been lucky enough to learn from. So everything combined is sort of the place that I'm speaking from today. And of course, everything I share is just an ongoing process of learning and understanding. So nothing that I share here is definitive. It's just simply I hope to say it in a way that helps other people connect with these themes in their own lives, to maybe start conversations about how important these things really are. So a couple of things that I'll just say about this is one thing that I learned, of course, is the idea of not being afraid. So the words "do not be afraid," of course, many people know is repeated in the Bible like 365 times or something like that. And many mainstream religions have their own version of this idea of the divine communicating to us that there is no reason to be afraid. And this is something that I've really integrated deeply into my own life, and try to hold on to that truth as often as I can, because I think it's so important for us to acknowledge the place that fear holds in our lives, how much of our actions and our way in the world is sort of run by fear, and the many different ways that fear shows up in our lives, in all these unconventional ways. I think fear has been a really, really big theme in my life. I talked a little bit about it in my previous video. It shows up as anxiety of not knowing what's going to happen to me in the future, whether I'm okay. And this is something I've had to work through on many occasions, and I've just sort of realized that this is a big part of what I'm here to overcome in my life is to work through these themes related to fear. And I think most importantly is I've learned not to allow fear to hold me back in the most important areas of my life. If I'm being called in a direction in my career, in my friendships, in my place in the world where I want to live, who I want to become, I don't allow fear to hold me back from just showing up in the world in the way that I know that I'm meant to, at the risk of having things not go the right way, of things being hard, of losing something. I think living without fear, or learning what it means to live without fear, is a lifelong process that I am here to engage with and help others work through themselves. Even becoming a yoga teacher, which I hope to talk about in a video soon, was a very big test of working through fear. It was difficult for me to do any sort of form of public speaking before I became a teacher. In my very first time even teaching yoga to one person, I felt paralyzed, like my throat just couldn't produce any sounds. And in the 2 years since, I feel like I've just transformed in my ability to share my ideas with the public and other people. Even what I'm doing now is not something I could have imagined myself doing before. So yeah, I like to just see it as this big picture theme that I'm working through, and it's cool to look at it from that point of view. But yeah, do not be afraid. That is a big one that I've learned in many different forms. Another thing that I'll say is, and I'm sure many people would consider this like a buzzword or something, and that's vibration. In my study and practice of Reiki, reading books related to energy work, and simply just, observing the world around me, I've realized that energy is a big part of our offering to others. It's our currency, it's our infinite resource of what we're here to share and to cultivate in our physical existence. And beyond our physical existence, we carry a big aura of energy around us. And our energy is constantly interacting with the energy of other people and with places and with objects. And, it's been known for many thousands of years that we are all just energy vibrating, particles arising and passing away. So from whatever angle you wish to look at it, everything is energy. Science and spirituality sort of seem to agree on that front. So with that, I've learned a lot from Dr. David Hawkins' calibration of energy scale, and there's just so much evidence that when you feel like you are in your most positive energy, it uplifts the people around you. You don't need theory to understand actually that that's true. And it's very, very important that we nurture and purify and take care of our energetic body by surrounding ourselves with people who don't throw off the balance of our energy, who don't cause us to sort of vibrate in an energy that is below what we naturally are inclined to be in. And I think it's very easy to end up around people who lower your vibration, like friends you've had for a long time that you feel bad parting ways with them, or family members, or relationships that are ready to just no longer be part of your life. This is another theme that I've sort of had to work through in many ways. I think I'm very much naturally a positive person, and I have a lot of love to give to others. And as with everyone else in the world, I've gotten tangled up in friendships and situations and relationships that have complicated this energy, this pure source of just loving energy in my being. And it doesn't also come from relationships. It also comes from your relationship to yourself and how you, the habit patterns that you formed, both in your activities and in your mind. All of these things contribute to how we can show up in the world and the environments we surround ourselves with and the activities we choose to do. So aside from, doing what makes you happy and eating healthy and all these things, there is a very there is a very significant component to doing the things that bring you joy, and to being your authentic self, and just without fear, without doubt, that your authentic self belongs in the world, belongs here, and is needed. it's important to come to a place in your life where you can just accept yourself as you are, and do the hard things that are required to help you shine more brightly in the world, because through that you discover your own gifts, you go in the direction you're meant to go in, you call in people into your life that actually raise or amplify your vibration, as opposed to lowering it in all kinds of different complicated ways. I think truly that you're meant to constantly outgrow old versions of yourself. And through that, sometimes you're meant to end chapters, you're meant to move on. But human beings are wired for sameness, for habit, and change is a very difficult and scary thing. So I guess showing up as your authentic self does require a level of fearlessness. And I truly believe that the universe rewards the people who abandon what is not aligned for them in pursuit of what helps them just shine brighter. And the universe conspires to give you more of that version of you, because it's how you came into the world. It's aspects of you that you just simply can't help. You can push them down, you can stifle them as much as you want, but there is an authentic self that lives inside of you that wants to be expressed. And I've learned in the past many years that the more that you suppress that person, the harder life becomes. You end up just resisting the version of you that wants to come forward, and it creates all kinds of disharmony. It creates anxiety, creates discomfort that you can't even put your finger on. And the more that you just allow yourself to break free from the chains of having to make other people happy or having to preserve the status quo, the more that you are actually promoting better health. You're going in the direction of the life force. You're going with the current of your higher self, if you believe in that. And I think that's why we're here. We're here to live. We're here to learn about life, and we're here to live fully so that we can fully integrate the lessons that we will inevitably receive from living fully. So I think it's important to, whether or not you're ready to make changes now, to really investigate the areas of your life where you feel like your energy is constantly being drained, or you're constantly making yourself small, or you're constantly dissatisfied. And that'll be a never-ending journey. There will always be more to unpack there, because it's impossible to get it right. So I think the mere interest or the inclination to examine your life on a deeper level, instead of just going through life sort of just doing what other people want you to do, or not really questioning or analyzing why you've made the choices you've made. I think it's important to just always be thinking more deeper. I think that's what spirituality has showed me, is that life wants you to engage with it on a deeper level, and through that, that can take on many forms. For me, it has taken on a form of creativity, to having a devotional practice. Carl Jung has said that human beings are naturally devotionally oriented creatures. So I think, God, I need to get better at speaking, fact checking first and then speaking afterwards. But I have seen it said that we, according to Carl Jung, are inherently devotional, and it's important to funnel your devotional energy into something that is healthy for you. We in the Western society often are worshippers of material success and material beauty and all kinds of surface level things that don't matter as much, and we're all guilty of it to some degree. But I think it's important also to have a devotional practice that is centered around something much, much larger than your physical body, and much larger than the society you live in, and all these things that you've been taught. It should really be a relationship to the divine, to God, to whatever you believe in, and on some level, just worshiping that energy, giving it your love, giving it your reverence and your respect, in some way. I've really found that kirtan, devotional singing, chanting, mantras, and bhakti yoga, the yoga of devotion, has really helped me open the doorway to my heart, because devotion is itself just a heart-led practice of your spiritual devotion, of your love for the universe, of your love of life. It's just channeled in this very beautiful way through sacred songs, through sacred syllables and chanting, in community. And I've always loved singing and sounding. I love to just make sounds for no reason. But to have this environment where you can just sing your heart out, and the message of the songs are so beautiful and pure, devoted to God and to something much larger than yourself. So that to me has been essential. But in some way, shape, or form, having a devotional practice, I feel, is extremely beneficial. And finally, I just want to add that spirituality has showed me the great importance of being kind to everything around you, to being, and especially towards yourself. The essence of how we liberate one another from suffering is by treating each other with a lot of love and kindness. I like to lead with love and kindness as much as possible in my life. And sometimes it doesn't feel authentic to do so. You might be dealing with all kinds of things, especially when you're interacting with people close to you, where you have a more complicated relationship with them. But in everyday life, doing the necessary work to clear out what stands in the way of you living with an open heart, I think is very, very good for the world. And going back to the conversation about energy, the more that you lead with an open heart, the more that you give others permission to access that within themselves. So if you're a heart-led person, or if you are capable of feeling greater amounts of joy, then your joy is essentially contagious, and people love to just feel seen and like their words matter. In my experience, it goes a long way to just look somebody in the eye and wish them a good day, to do something small for them that would make their day a bit easier, or to simply just show genuine interest in how their day is going. These are things that I love to bring into my spaces when I'm teaching yoga or offering energy healing. Things like that is the soothing quality of just feeling genuine affection from somebody. And if that's possible, that's great. If not, then that's okay too. But if it's hard for you to show affection towards human beings, I think it's also great to show affection towards wildlife, to animals, to little plants and bugs and anything that is alive. Sometimes it even feels nice to show affection to the items in your home, and things that you love that are not sentient. I find that whatever practice you can create in your life that generates more feelings of love and positivity in your heart benefit others in many ways. And in the language of energy, it may not have this direct A=B effect, but it does have a much larger implication for the world when you're operating in a state of happiness, of gratitude, and kindness. I think just having this bridge between your human heart and knowing that everything that happens is part of a divine plan. There is a reason why the events of our world, as dark as they may be, many would say that they are happening for reasons that we might not understand. And even in our own lives, there are many examples of when bad things happen and we can't quite understand why we were chosen to have this bad experience. But a relationship to spirituality helps you create a different context around why these things happen. And it's not necessary to understand it with your logical mind. I think our logical mind is very limited in that way. And is incapable of trying to wrap its head around why bad things happen, why animals are hurt, why our planet is, why things are happening everywhere. But on an experiential, everyday level, knowing that your impact is not small, and there's a reason why you were put here to work through the lessons that you're working through, and there's a reason why you've been put in this particular place, surrounded by these particular people. You are all meant to influence one another in some way, and to just bring more awareness to how positive you can make those influences, I think is really important. And just the fact that it feels good to be kind, it feels good to love others, and it feels good to clear the blockages out of the way that stand in the way of you loving yourself more. These are all things that I'm constantly learning about in so many different ways. And you don't need to be a spiritual person to appreciate these things, and also to learn these things in your own life. Life has a way of just showing you what needs to be done. Life is a beautiful teacher. Whether or not you study spirituality and meditate, like, your relationships will automatically, cause you to grow in some way. Lessons are here to be learned. And I think just remembering that and trusting deeply, I'll just end with the word trust, which is the essence of spirituality, is trust, because there is no proof, there is no science of spirituality to help you feel a bit more certain of your beliefs, but there is a trust, and it comes from the feeling that lives within, the intuition, and that yes feeling, where you really just feel good about what you know, and you feel certain of it even if you can't prove it. So just trusting that there is a reason why you're here, why you're watching this video even. I really appreciate you staying to watch, and let me know if you can relate to any of these ideas. And as always, lots of love. Thank you.